So good morning, everyone. As mentioned, I would like to present a methodological approach to how to research invisible reactions to brand content on social media. The goal of this presentation is to get some feedback from your side or from whoever is interested in this topic. Just to say in advance, I will be in a rush after this presentation. So I would be really happy to stay in touch in case someone is interested. So let's go to the presentation. So basically answering this question is a critical point to my dissertation, which focuses on phenomenon of passive users on social media and their relation to brand content. This topic is basically inspired by my marketing practice as well as academic research, where I have identified quite a significant research gap. But before jumping into the methodological part, I will go through and present the phenomenon of passive users, so-called lurkers, and give an overview of the existing research about the works. So let's start by thinking our own behavior or our own activities on social media, what we do or not do there. And I guess it won't be very different from what the research shows. It shows that vast majority of people are not actively engaging on social media or generally in online communities. And it means that they are not liking, sharing, posting messages. And as the graph shows, the number of active users has been steadily declining during last years, and this trend is going to further continue in the years to come.
How do you define active engagement?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So basically, active engagement means these are the people that are visible. I will have one slide on that further in the presentation. But any visible reaction, meaning a comment or share or like, is an active approach. However, the passive users are those. Oh, I'll talk about that a bit later, so just don't worry. I just tried to go back. And it always goes. So if we look at the activities of what people do on social media, we know that 92% of all user actions on social networks is lurking, this passive behavior. But it doesn't mean that those people are not engaged. It means that those people are just not that visible, and that their interests are kind of hidden to any reporting or analytic activity. The lurking phenomenon is very prominent in the brand-related activities. As you can see on the chart, it's not very visible, but I'll read it for you. 3 out of 5 top Facebook brand-related activities are passive usage. It means visiting a company profile page, or researching a product online, or start to follow a certain brand or product. So these are all passive activities. So what is the existing research on participation in online communities? I think this slide should answer your question. Basically, the people engaged in online communities are either active or passive based on the visibility of their actions, as I already mentioned. Active users are those who visibly interact with the content, being liking, sharing, or commenting. On the other hand, passive users, so-called lurkers or silent users, are those members that are not posting messages or visibly interacting. There are 2 different definitions of lurkers or passive users. The first of them is a kind of negative one, which understands lurkers as free riders. However, I'm using a positive definition of lurker as a passive participant. Participant means that this person participates within the community just invisibly. As for the existing research, majority of studies is focusing on so-called posters or active users, taking all the metrics of engagement that you can find on social networks. And they are from different perspectives, either sociology, psychology, or computer science, as well as business. The business or marketing perspective I consider as the most relevant to my research. Its aim is mainly to prove that there is a certain correlation between the active engagement and sales. This is, to a certain extent, it's possible in the e-retailer communities. However, in the brand-related communities or brand communities, it's much more complicated. So that's why majority of studies in the brand community segment is about the relation between the content strategy and engagement. As for the lurking phenomenon, those studies are mainly within the field of computer science and information systems, searching for individual motivations for lurking, but also on the other side, motivations for de-lurking, so it means becoming active. So the research gap that I have identified is the lurking phenomenon within the brand-related environments and its connections or disconnections with other relevant online or offline activities. And now the methodological part. The aim of the project is to explore lurkers' relationship with brand content on social media and draw potential marketing implications. I have identified 3 research questions. First of all, does the brand content on social media trigger interest, emotions, or purchase? Or if so, what type of brand content or brand-related content drives the most of these 3 aspects? And what are the metrics that can be used to describe passive user engagement? The overarching framework that I got inspired by is a natively digital methodological framework, which basically uses the internet as an environment where natural methods of research occur and which are built into devices or online devices and functions. Practically, it means that for a research you're using either applications, softwares, or even some other electronic devices such as drones or some geolocation services or applications. However, this methodology works only with active participation, the visible one. I would like to use a similar approach, however with different techniques. I'll just show you how it's envisioned. There are 3 key steps to follow. First of all, the first step is an observation of an online activity. Second step is online experiment, and the third is individual semi-structured interviews. Before going into detail for each of these steps, I'll just go briefly through the idea of how the respondents should look like. The goal is to have 10 to 15 respondents from different cultural backgrounds and from the millennial generation. Why millennial generation? First of all, they're increasingly familiar with the digital technologies. They're used to use them for a long time. Also, they are very, among this generation, among these people, there's a prominent lurking phenomenon. And studies show that there are 70% of millennials are passively using social media. And this is a trend that is supposed to continue as well. Also, as the research shows, there are minor cross-cultural differences. So it means that if I have the respondents from different countries, there shouldn't be a huge differences in terms of their cultural or sociological background. And also, there are significant economic power. So, first step, online activity observation. For this one, I would like to employ a software that monitors computer activity or mobile activity, mobile usage at certain user. These are the softwares that are normally used by companies to monitor their employees or by parents to monitor their kids. So this time I would like to repurpose it and use it to track these invisible reactions of a certain user. Here is an example of the tracked features that you can get from those softwares among really high number of other features, which I'm not interested in, which is the screenshots. Like every 5 seconds, you can get a screenshot of what the person is doing on the computer or on the mobile. You can see all the URLs visited, so all the website visits or keystrokes. And the idea is to reconstruct this online journey of a certain person and focus on a brand content that the person is browsing through. The goal of this step is to understand the behavior of a user in a natural environment and to monitor any brand-related activity. To understand further this journey, or to understand it better, the second step is an online experiment, which will be done in cooperation with a certain number of brands. And those users, those respondents, will be targeted social media posts, and their reactions to those posts or any activity, online activity, will be monitored. So, thanks to this step, I will get a detailed tracking of users' invisible activity, which is triggered by a selected brand content. The third step are those individual semi-structured interviews, and these interviews are supposed to give me a deeper understanding of the learner's attitudes, values, beliefs, also understand more the emotional side and potential offline behavior and its connection with online.
Last comment.
I'm almost done. So this is only a summary to give you an idea. For the first 2 steps, there will be employed this monitoring software. And for this third step, it's basically normal interviews. While searching for the metrics of interest, purchase, and emotions during each of those steps, except for emotions during the first 2, which is not possible. And this should help me understand the learning phenomenon in relation to brand content, and then potentially draw some implications. I know that still there are a lot of questions to be addressed within this research, which is in rather as a project so far. What I consider as the most important is the ethical dilemma of spying on someone's computer or mobile. And the second thing is also finding respondents who would be happy to share to a certain extent anonymously their reactions and their behavior online. So that's about it.